Hey guys, I'm here in the kitchen. This is not my normal area. I'm no cook or baker, normally speaking, but there's one dish that I have learned to make. One of my holiday favorites for Thanksgiving, and we would also eat this dish for Christmas. It's strawberry pretzel salad, and we got a lot of requests in one of our recent videos on the recipe for this, so we thought we'd share that with you today. I'm gonna step through it. First off, we're going to start with the crust layer, which is pretzels, a pretzel layer on the bottom. And this calls for a cup of pretzels, 1 stick of melted butter, and I think it's 2 tablespoons of sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and crush the pretzels up right now, and we want to crush these as fine as we can get them without making them into a powder. You can do this however you want to. I like putting them inside a baggie to contain them, and then I just crush them inside the baggie. All right, so I'll seal those up. And just grab a measuring cup and start crushing. Again, these don't have to be crushed into a powder, but you do want them in very small pieces because that just makes it easier to cut into good sliced portions later on. Okay, let's see how much this gives us. We got a cup measure here. And it looks like this is going to give us what we need. All right. So, once we got our cup of pretzels, then we'll put our pretzels in a bowl, and we'll combine that with the butter and the sugar. So I'll grab this here and get our butter. So there's our stick of butter, and then I'll grab some sugar here. Get our 2 tablespoons in. And then mix this up. Looks like the pretzels could have been a little finer, but I think this is going to be okay. So before starting this, we preheated the oven to 325. So once that's all mixed up, we'll grab our pan, 9 by 13 pan, and get the pretzels as evenly dispersed as we can. And it's okay if it doesn't completely cover the bottom, just as long as they're evenly distributed throughout the bottom. If you leave any clusters, it just gets really, really hard and kind of difficult to cut through and bite. So once we got that in a good place, I'm just going to throw this in the oven. It's supposed to bake for about 10 minutes. And then while it's baking, we'll go on to step 2 in the process. So going on to layer number 2 here is the cream cheese layer. So I'm going to mix the next layer in this bowl and an 8-ounce packet of cream cheese. This layer calls for 1 pack of cream cheese, 1 8-ounce container of Cool Whip, whipped topping, and then a half a cup of sugar. But you want to put this in the right order. I've tried this just mixing it all together before, and the sugar stayed very grainy. I wasn't supposed to do that. So to avoid the grainy sugar, it's actually supposed to be combined with the cream cheese ahead of time before the Cool Whip ever touches it. So we're going to do that first. So I'll pop this in. And we'll get our half a cup of sugar here. Got our half a cup of sugar. And we're gonna mix this until it gets completely evenly mixed together here. I'm gonna do this by hand. You could probably do it with a spoon. My hands are washed, but it just mixes the best that way. At least that's how I've found it to work. I don't know if any professional chefs would approve doing it by hand, but it's the easiest way for me, and maybe quite honestly, it's because I like to lick my fingers when I was a kid, but I'm not doing that today, so. Okay, so that's all mixed together, and this is obviously a perfect time to start taste testing things, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to quick wash my hands. Okay, so now my hands are washed from this, and we can mix it with the Cool Whip. Again, since the sugar is all evenly mixed into the cream cheese, you shouldn't have to worry about any grainy sugar now. So we'll just plop this in here, and get the spatula for this part. We'll try to evenly mix this so that there's not a whole bunch of lumps. This Cool Whip was thawed ahead of time. If you start with a frozen Cool Whip, this is kind of difficult to get pretty even, but if you let it thaw first, you're going to be sitting pretty good. Okay, so this is looking fairly well mixed. You can see it's still a little lumpy, but that's not a huge deal. Now that this layer is done, we'll stick this in the fridge. We will apply this after the crust is done in the oven and cooled. So starting off with the top layer here, the strawberry jello layer, one thing I learned over the years of making this is that if you can have your strawberries sliced and frozen, when you apply them to the jello, it just gels a lot quicker that way, and so it can help not seep through the edges if there's any cracks in the cream cheese. So 16 ounces of strawberries is what we'll need. We have sliced strawberries here. Obviously, if you have whole strawberries, you can just slice them up. I'm just going to make sure these are all separated so that it's not super chunky once we put them in the jello. So I'm going to put these off in the freezer so that they're nice and cold. So next we're just going to dissolve the jello packet in some boiling water. So this calls for 2 cups of boiling water. We'll mix the large jello packet in it and then apply a ½ cup of cold water to cool it down after it's mixed. All right, so we'll grab this and empty our large jello packet in the bowl. Got some boiling water here. Get our whisk. So if you're not into making jello very much, you just want to make sure that this is completely dissolved. I've made this before where I wasn't patient and did not have all the powder dissolved, and the jello was very sugary, which was not very pleasant. So if we can just get that all dissolved until it's completely clear. All right, let's see if that's good enough. Looks pretty good. You can see little grains in it if they're there, but I'm not really seeing that. So I think this is good to go. So now we're going to chill it off with a ½ cup of cold water. So we'll chill that down, and then we will put our strawberries in. Once those are in, I'm going to stick this back in the freezer, and it shouldn't take very long for that to gel up really nice. Okay, so now we have our pretzel crust layer, the bottom layer, all cooled. So now we can put the cream cheese layer on. And again, the The trick with this one is making sure to seal all the way around the edges and middle as much as possible. That layer's looking all nice and good. All right, and if you need to make sure everything tastes okay. So now everything looks like it's sealed off. So now if the jello layer is gelling from the strawberries, the frozen strawberries, we can just apply those and stick it all in the fridge. So if we look at this here, okay, it's starting to gel, but the way this looks, it's still pretty runny. And again, if there's a hole at all in your cream cheese layer, you run the risk of this seeping through and just really making your crust soggy. So we're going to stick this back in the freezer just to make sure. All right. Okay, this is looking really a lot better. So if you want to be extra careful, you just leave this in the freezer until it's super thick. This looks thick enough. You just you don't want to leave it in so long that it turns to ice. But this is gelling, and so this is sitting at a pretty good spot. So we're going to put this on top. So to top this off, oh yeah, that's what we want it to look like. Evenly distribute the strawberries as much as possible. So I'll just spread those around a little. So once you've evenly distributed the strawberries, you can put this in the fridge, not the freezer, but the refrigerator. And once the jello has turned solid so that it's not runny at all anymore, it's ready to eat. That might take an hour or two, depending on the consistency of your jello when you start. So that is the recipe for strawberry pretzel salad. Again, a favorite holiday dish of mine and a tradition we probably started when I was around 12 years old. It's been a favorite of mine ever since, and I hope you enjoy it as well.